Okay, I wanted to hop on here because I was having a thought. I've been hearing a lot about the telepathy tapes. And if you don't know the podcast, go look it up if you have children, especially if you have autistic children. Um, my whole household is a bunch of neurodivergence. My youngest is clinically diagnosed as being on the spectrum. He did not speak until he was almost 3, almost, uh, actually well into 3. It was only like certain words, but I understood everything he was saying. um, just as moms, you automatically know. It's like when the baby cries, you know what they need, what kind of cry it is. It's a hungry cry, I'm a wet cry, it's a tired cry. It's kind of the same thing. He's always been a happy child, and his needs were always met. So I think in a way, he really didn't have to communicate, or, because it wasn't a thing yet. He speaks now, obviously, but the thing I wanted to share, there's many layers and levels of all of this, but as far as the telepathy goes, I mean, he isn't clinically like nonverbal like the kids and the telepathy tapes, but up until last year, he was in a special ed only classroom with like 8 other boys who were also on the spectrum, autistic. And there was a few that he really resonated with. There were 2 I would say were his best friends, because he would always talk about them at home. And he would say the strangest things, he would giggle out of nowhere. And I'm like, what's so funny? And he would say, oh, Noah's doing this. And I'm like, that's a weird thing to say. How would he know what his friend was doing right now? And it wasn't until after so many times of this, I would ask the parents, around 6 o'clock last night, was this happening? Or they would just randomly tell me, and I was like, wow. And being a psychic medium and having abilities myself, telepathy abilities, it's very interesting because we aren't necessarily able to read our own families. And I think that's by design. There's only so much we can see that we're allowed to see, because it would alter our human experience in some other kind of ways. So people often ask me, well, can't you just ask the guides this and that and this and that? And like when it's about a relationship or your own children. And to a degree, yes. And there are family guides that will help out with me and my oldest a lot too. But I just wanted to come on here and say that, I think the whole autism thing, neurodivergence, we're beginning to use our brains differently, and we're trying to put labels to things. And maybe in the future, it's going to get a little more precise of what these things actually are. But I want to say all mothers are psychically connected to their children, telepathically connected to their children. Even with my first, everyone used to ask me, how did you come up with his name? And I'm like, well, he told me. I was in the bathroom, in the bathtub meditating, and I asked him what his name was, and I saw it spelled out for me. So, just being a mom and going through that experience, I think we are naturally more connected to our children, whether it's telepathic or not, I'm not sure, but I definitely notice the abilities in my children, and I feel like realizing that this isn't normal for everyone is like, oh, that's weird. So if you're experiencing this, I feel like it's gonna start being kind of the norm if it isn't already for a lot of people.